So we are live. Hello, Kerstin.
Hello, Vince.
How are you?
I'm good. Sitting in
Nice.
Iceland, looking forward to my first live chat on YouTube.
That's amazing. And so what are you planning to do today? So well, I just want to start with this. I'm absolutely happy to have you here in this live chat. It's, for two reasons at least. One reason because it's you, and I really love your photography, and I'm absolutely happy to talk with you about your photography. And also because you choose to be here with me and with the other people that will join us instead of going to the volcano eruption, actually.
Yeah, well, I'm actually curious and happy myself, so thank you for inviting me, and I'm curious where it will lead us.
Yes. So we already have a few people watching us. It's 11 people, I see. And Christina, she is saying hi. Cristiana, sorry, Cristiana. Cristiana Damiano, maybe you know her. She is a nature photographer.
Hi.
Hi, yeah. So okay, nice. Because we already have a few people watching, I think we can start. There is Marco, the volcano guy.
Marco di Marco.
Marco di Marco. So we already have a small community. Okay, Kerstin. So I just want to start talking a little bit about you. For the people that maybe don't know you so well. So you are you are many things. So I'm just gonna say a few things, and then you will describe yourself, because probably you know yourself better than me. Better than how I know you. So you, for how long have you been doing nature photography?
Good question. I guess ever since I came to Iceland, which was 2001. But then I just had a camera and was clicking away. So since 2001, I started to, think a bit more professional and try to get better. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So Kerstin is many things, like I said, but for tonight she's a nature photographer mainly. And well, I remember from you some of the first photos from Iceland of some specific location. For example, I remember the first photo that I saw of Mount Kirkjufell with the Northern Light.
Mhm.
It was actually from you. It's now there are, I don't know how many billions or photos of Kirkjufell with Northern Lights are around, but the first one that I saw a few years ago, it was from you. And you are very passionate about the Arctic, right? You spend a lot of time in the Arctic, not only doing photography, but also guiding and doing other things. You will be also in the Antarctica, so you have a passion for anything that is probably extreme and cold, I would say.
Yeah, I always say I'm bipolar. I love the polar areas.
And you are also very into environmental, you are very into spreading what's happening about the environment, right? Specifically about climate change. And some of your photos became symbol of climate change a few years ago, specifically one photo of a polar bear. I don't know if you have if we have this photo in your selection.
Yeah, it's the last one.
Okay, so maybe I'm gonna add some of your photos here. So I'm gonna go straight to this last one. Let me see, like this.
There, we got it. Yeah.
This poor guy. So this photo became like viral, and it became a symbol of climate change, of what climate change it's producing actually to the environment in the Arctic. So, Kerstin, do you want to add anything else to my presentation of you, about you?
No, I am a nature lover with a camera that tends to do crazy things. Let's say it like that. But yeah, thank you for the description. That was a good overview.
Okay, thank you. So, do we want to start with this photo? Do you want to tell us a little bit about? You probably have done this like handless, like many.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times, but
plenty.
Absolutely.
This is my most famous photo. And at the same time, it is the photo I'm least proud of regarding being a photographer, because the quality of the image is not mind-blowing. But I was there at the right time, taking the photo when no one else was taking it. Just to explain it, I was a guide on an expedition cruise ship, a small one with 50 passengers. There were some photographers on board as well, and that was in Svalbard, the northernmost islands of Norway, you could say. It's an archipelago between Norway and the North Pole. And we were looking for polar bears. It was a week-long trip, but people wanted to see healthy and happy polar bears. So when we met that polar bear, I was on the bridge. I was actually the one who saw it first. And we on the bridge decided not to go any closer because the bear was too thin. It was scared of us. We could see that it was standing up and it was turning away from us, and we didn't want it to go into the water. So we stopped the ship, told everybody that the bear was there, looked it from a really far distance. I don't know how far, maybe 700 meters or even a kilometer. It was really far away. And then we turned around and left. And because it was so far away, hardly anyone took a photo. And because it was a thin polar bear, hardly anyone took a photo, because people want to see pictures of happy polar bears. But I took a photo because it wasn't the first thin bear that I've seen. And when we returned back to the harbor, a few days later, I was just so angry about the whole situation of climate change and people denying climate change that I posted this photo with a pretty angry text. And then I left again for 17 days on another expedition on a sailing vessel. And when I came back 17 days later, that picture had gone viral. And I couldn't believe it because I hadn't done anything in the last 17 days. It had been clicked millions of times. There were tens of thousands of comments underneath. And just overnight, it became a symbol of climate change. And yeah, I am, of course, happy that it happened. I'm happy that people started talking about climate change again when looking at the picture. It was a special moment, but at the same time, I'm really sad because this is the reality that I've seen plenty of times, and it's just getting worse and worse year by year.
Yeah, I think that we will have time to talk about what's happening in the Arctic because of climate change afterwards. I just want to ask you something. Well, at first, like I want to say something to the people that are watching us. So if you guys have any question for Kerstin, just write the question in the comment. We will go through all the comments in a few minutes, and then Kerstin is gonna reply to your questions. So going back to this photo, you told me like we were together a few days ago, and you told me about some possible connection between this photo and Greta Toonberg.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That is crazy. Can you just explain us?
Okay, I mean, I don't think I have to explain who Greta Toonberg is.
No, definitely not.
She got depressed because of climate change, and the aftermath, when she got out of the depression, she sat down in front of the Swedish parliament and did her Fridays for Future strikes for the climate. And it was a year afterwards that the picture got viral that a Norwegian journalist contacted me and asked me if she could please use the picture for an article. And I said, sure, what it is about. And she said she needed the picture to illustrate an interview with Greta Toonberg. And I told her, yeah, go ahead, and I would like to read the interview afterwards. And then I was really startled because she asked Greta, now, Greta, how did it all start? And Greta said, it was in school, a lesson in school, when a teacher talked to them about environmental problems and climate change. And the teacher showed them pictures of burning rainforests and melting ice and a starving polar bear. And afterwards, that lesson, the teacher just said, okay, now the lesson is done. I'm going to see you in 3 weeks because I'm flying into holidays. And that was kind of the tipping point for Greta, that she kind of did not understand how can the grown-ups talk about climate change and they know all of this is happening, and at the same time they're flying into holidays. And that's what kind of was the last drop for her to get depressed. And the thing is that I do not know exactly when this happened. It might have happened in 2014 or in 2015. But if that teaching lesson happened in 2015, which was the year I took the photo and the year this photo went viral, it might have been that the teacher was showing my picture of that polar bear to the class where Greta was sitting in. So it might be that this polar bear, this picture, is one of the reasons why Greta got depressed and later sat in front of the parliament and started the Fridays for Future movement. And that possibility is just too crazy to be true.
But it's actually possible, and it's pretty incredible.
It shows you the power that pictures can have. And yes, even though it's not my picture, this picture has touched many people. So I'm really, really happy that it went out there and brought climate change into focus. But it kind of would be crazy if this picture with that polar bear would be one of the reasons why Greta Toonberg became the icon for the climate movement of the youth.
Yeah, you're very right, Kerstin. This picture shows us the power of photography. I was very touched by these photos, and very, very touched by this photo when I saw it the first time. So, it's a very sad photo, but
it is.
It has a lot of power. All right. Do we want to go to see some different kind of photo?
Yeah, well, this is kind of the one sad photo that I brought you because you wanted to put the photo, the topic on nature photography. So the other photos are kind of nice and happy.
Yeah, let's turn in a nice and happy mood, at least for a while. So, I see a lot of volcanoes here. Let's start with volcanoes, or let's start from this one, and then we will go to volcanoes. So this is actually the first photo of Mount Kirkjufells with northern light that I have ever seen, and it's from you. So Kerstin, I have a question about your photography generally. So why this northern light in this picture is not so well saturated? Why this green is not that much green?
Because, in my opinion, this is the most realistic color of the Northern Lights that I can show you. Northern Lights are very difficult to photograph when it comes to realism, because every picture of a Northern Light is a long exposure. So usually if you take a picture at night of the Northern Lights, the exposure time will be something between 5 seconds and 30 seconds. So the camera is gathering the light and the color for 30 or 15 seconds, while our eyes, they only see a blink of a moment every single time. So the human eye is not that sensitive to color when it's dark. And usually Northern Lights are colorless or very faintly green. They're not as green as you usually see it on the internet, on all those photos. The camera gets the green, but not our eye. So what I'm doing is I'm desaturating my Northern Light pictures to produce a more realistic image, even though people don't like it that much. People like color. And that is, I think, is the reason why many photographers do not desaturate the images. And then again, they put these images out on the internet, and people who have never seen the Northern Lights thinks that those Northern Lights are always really, really green, like grass. And then they come to a place where there are northern lights. That happened plenty of times. I'm a guide. I have done northern light tours with tourists before. And we had the most amazing display of northern lights. And afterwards, the tourists come to me and said, "Oh, we were so unlucky today. There was no color." And I had to tell them, "No, you were not unlucky. Those were normal northern lights. They can be colorful, but not very often." And
So
that is the reason why they are not very saturated.
So you desaturated this photo. It's pretty cool.
I desaturated the northern lights to make them look more realistic. Yes.
I think one of the most common topic, like if you Google tutorial for photography, for landscape photography, like how to saturate photos is one of the most common tutorial that you can find. Mm-hmm. And you reduce the saturation of the raw file. That's pretty insane. So what is like behind your photography? You want to show nature as it is. What?
I want to show the beauty of nature, but a realistic beauty of nature. To me, nature is my church. Nature is the most amazing thing that there is. And nature can be completely colorful and it can blow you away, but it's not every day. It's not every night. And so when I am experiencing a really colorful sunset or sunrise, it will be colorful. But when I'm experiencing really faint northern lights that have hardly any color, or when I'm experiencing a gray sunrise, then I will show this in my pictures, because I want to show nature as it is and not as I want it to be. Even though, of course, it is always an interpretation of the photographer. I cannot catch the moment. I cannot show you exactly how it was, because I took the picture and I post-processed the picture. But I like to do very little post-processing, and I like to keep it like low and real, because I think nature is beautiful enough. I don't have to push the contrasts, oversaturate, do multiple exposures for one shot. I don't need to do that, because I think nature is beautiful enough as it is.
And what do you think about the the artistic view of a nature? Let's say a nature photographer wants to tell the beauty of the nature, like you said, but it also wants to had some personal artistic interpretation. What do you think about that?
It really depends on the image. For instance, if you're going into something that you cannot see with your naked eye anyway, for instance, macro photography, if we go into really small details, or if you photograph artistically anyway, like if you're playing with multiple exposures and you just have structures, then it's okay, because you know that it's not, you don't see an insect, the eyes that big anyway. And if it looks artistic, or if it looks like something you wouldn't see normally, then I think it's all right. But I really dislike it when people change the picture so much that it's actually not nature photography anymore, but nature art. And then they don't tell people about it. If they tell people about it, then I'm completely fine with it. But photography still has that element of documentary. When people look at a photo, they tend to think this is real. And so I have a huge problem that tries to be realistic have to compete with people who are putting moons into their pictures, or are completely oversaturating, or the foreground is taken at daytime and the background is northern lights. Like, this is not nature photography anymore. This is art to me. This is art that needs to be declared. So as soon as you write underneath, there's a composition, this wasn't real, then I'm happy with it. But not many photographers do that. They just post the picture online and then people think, wow. And this kind of seems unfair, both to nature and to photographers who try to be photographers and not artists.
I mean, I think you can be artist being a natural nature photographer. I
Definitely.
mean, this is art. Like, this photo is art to me. It's a beautiful photo. So you say, Kerstin, you started in 2001 or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, how did you see nature photography changing in this 20 years?
Well, I started taking slide photos, which was a completely different thing there. I didn't have a digital camera to start with. So you took the picture and you gave it away and you got the finished picture back. There was no post-processing. So you had to do the picture on the spot. If it wasn't perfect, then that's it. And I've kept that thinking, even though now I have all the possibilities of digital photography and post-processing. I could completely fake pictures. I could, because now it's in my hand. In the old days when we were taking slide photos, I was giving the picture away and it was developed and I became back the finished result. It wasn't in my hands. And yes, so this is what I started with. And now everything changed because, first of all, people can learn really fast. With a digital camera, you see the results right away. You don't have to wait for 3, 4, 5 weeks. So everything is faster, everything is possible, and everything is allowed. There seems to be no rules anymore, nothing that is not okay. And that to me is very irritating because I kind of still kept that old-fashioned idea of I'm taking the photo with my camera, and when I've taken the photo, that's it. A little bit of post-processing, but that's it. I don't do anything anymore. But modern photographers are the opposite. They're kind of snapping the picture and then they're putting far more time into post-processing than into making the picture itself, usually. So it's the opposite. Everything has changed and swapped around.
Well, of course, like in a nature photography contest, there are still rules. Like you cannot post-process your photos if you like over, some limit. But of course, in social media, there's no rule. Like people that are posting on Instagram or wherever, of course, they don't have any limit in post-processing. And so what basically you said, you are not against this. It's just you would
I
you
want
don't
it
want.
declared.
Yes.
To me, it is kind of like paintings. You have all kinds of paintings, ranging from realism to completely abstract art. All of it is okay, because you can actually see this is realistic and this is abstract art. But photography is it's one thing. People think it's a photo and they don't see how much work is behind it. They don't see how much post-processing is in the photo. They don't see how many actual photos were taken to produce one photo. All I want is a declaration. I want nature photography to still stand as a documentary part, and I want the artists to be artists. That is completely all right, but I want people to know what they're looking at, because without any declaration, you do not know, was this moon real or not? Were the colors real or not? Are these actually two photos merged together, or is it actually something that the person saw with their own eyes? You can't see that if you don't declare it.
And what do you think about the, let's call it, artistic interpretation on the field? Like, for example, if you use filters to have a long exposure, of course, you have something different from what your eyes can see.
What you saw, yes.
Yeah, and also,
I kind of think that as photography is an interpretation of the photographer anyway, it is okay to have some, how should I say, some filters, for instance, I think are okay, even though they do change the picture a lot. For instance, polarizing filters. They can change the sky. I mean, a polarizing filter can make the sky dark blue and the clouds completely white. They can increase the contrast. But a polarizing filter is something that was already there when I started photography. So I started with working with polarizing filters, and I see it as a tool that can be used really nicely. But I actually dislike polarizing filters on 100% because they look very strange, the result. What I completely dislike is pictures or filters, for instance, color filters, pink filters, in order to photograph sunrise colors in the middle of the day. A good idea is those famous pictures in Greek of the white houses with a completely pink sky. That is very often done with a colored filter. And something like this, like as soon as you change something to that the eye really couldn't see, I'm against it. I'm against filters that make starry sparks all over and stuff like that. So what I use in my photography is a polarizing filter and a gray natural gradient filter, and sometimes a neutral density filter. So these three filters, that's all I use. And then a bit of post-processing. And I think that is kind of, for me, that's the limit. I wouldn't use anything else.
So for you, it's not like post-processing, it's hell, and like strange filters that you might use on the field are okay. Like anything that is massively change the reality for you is not nice.
Yes,
it's not good.
Correct. That's correct. Everything that changes to what I actually saw, what my eyes saw, is not a documentary anymore. And I feel myself as a documentary photographer. I want to show the beauty of nature. So, of course, I'm waiting for the most beautiful moments. I'm waiting for the sunset and the sunrise. I'm waiting for the night. So I try to influence it as much as I can. But I'm not influencing any more than this. No colored filters, no heavy post-processing, no faking. Just because I would like a lake in the foreground in this picture, I'm not putting a lake in there because there was no lake there. End of story. So, as I say, I feel myself as a documentary photographer who tries to show nature as beautiful as possible, as beautiful as it can be.
How many photographers with the same approach that you have, in your opinion, are out there?
I don't know. I feel very much alone.
Okay.
So I really don't know. I feel like I'm completely against mainstream now. My pictures are not colorful enough. They're not spectacular enough. Post-processing is not enough. I always hear that I'm under processing my pictures. They need more colors. They need more contrast. And I'm saying, no, there were no more colors when I took it. Why should I push the colors? So I'm happy with that. I mean, I find those pictures beautiful. Those colors are nice. Why should I push them even more?
Yeah, they are very beautiful. Where is this place, Kerstin? It's Iceland, but...
That is Iceland. That is Mýrdalsjökull.
Okay. There's a volcano under this glacier, right?
Yes. A very active volcano. I'm waiting for it to go. We'll see when it will happen.
So while I was scrolling your pictures, I saw some beautiful volcanic eruption. I think we can go through this selection of photos.
Yep.
And so we can... Oh, look at that. What is this, Kerstin?
Eyjafjallajökull. The famous volcano that no non-Icelander can pronounce.
Yeah.
So that was my very first volcanic eruption in the year 2010 that I was able to intensively photograph. I was lucky enough that I arrived just in time. And I spent 5 weeks with this volcano and got some amazing pictures and amazing experiences. And ever since then, I've fallen completely in love with volcanoes. And I'm not sure it has been the best or the worst decision of my life, because those bloody volcanoes are like a drug. You cannot get enough of them.
Yeah, I think I'm experiencing this on myself as well. I spent with you actually 2 weeks in by the volcanic eruption that it's happening now in Iceland. And I'm just thinking, yeah, I have to go back to this eruption, or I also want to see other volcanic eruptions now. I'm thinking about Etna. So
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's
It
very.
is dangerous. So
It is
to anyone out
dangerous.
there who is thinking of seeing your first eruption, be careful, because once you see one, you need to see more. It is really, really addictive.
It is absolutely. Wow, this photo, it's
Yeah.
so beautiful and
It was such an
powerful.
amazing, like, I never imagined a volcano to be eruptive in my mind. A volcano was like a Hawaiian eruption, like beautiful lava flowing and bubbling. And so I never imagined that a volcano under ice would be a monster. And then I arrived there and I had this amazing experience. First of all, I was completely happy to not go close because, I mean, it was an 8-kilometer high ash cloud, lightnings shooting out in all directions. And it was absolutely crazy. But then over the course of 5 weeks, I actually got to know Eyjafjallajökull a bit better. And yes, I managed to get quite close and quite intimate with this amazing volcano.
So sorry, Kerstin. Probably, I don't know if all the people are understanding, but this is a glacier actually, right? We are looking at a glacier.
It is a volcano which is covered with ice. So that's kind of a glacier on top of a volcano. And when Eyjafjallajökull erupted, it first had to melt itself through the ice. So the crater is about 2 kilometers in diameter, and there were a few hundred meters of ice on top. And when the lava, the magma, comes in contact with ice or water, that explosion just produces all the ash. So that is why Eyjafjallajökull was so powerful and so mighty. If it would have just been a mountain without any ice, it would have been most likely a beautiful lava eruption, nothing else. But the ice made it so powerful. And so in this picture and the one beforehand, you see those two different clouds. In the back, you have the gray cloud, that is the actual ash. The lava that has come in contact with water and ice and then just exploded into ash. And after about 10 days, the ice had melted so far away that lava was starting to flow through the glacier. And that's what you can actually see here. You can see a canyon melted by lava. And if you look into it, you see a little bit of glowing here and there. And the lava then touched the ice and produced this white cloud of water vapor. And for some days, you had yin and yang. You had the black cloud and the white cloud side by side. It was absolutely stunning.
It's incredible. Yes, I see it. Like I see the glow. It's just on a little bit on the right of the white cloud.
There will be a picture showing you the lava stream, the pink one. So if we go further, we might see it. There we go.
So when I saw this photo the first time, I thought that it was from the first eruption. So because there was yes, exactly. There was another eruption before the big eruption of Eyjafjallajökull. But it's actually from Eyjafjallajökull,
that is
right?
Eyjafjallajökull, yes. That was kind of 3 weeks into the eruption when the ice had melted away, and a lava stream was melting the glacier. And I was one of the very few people who managed to get a picture of this lava stream, because from most angles you could not see it. But where I was standing, I could see that lava stream for 3 days. Yeah.
Where you were exactly standing, Kerstin?
I was in Þórsmörk. I got an amazing opportunity to get into Þórsmörk, which is a valley right next to Eyjafjallajökull. And there was a youth hostel, and they were renovating. And I managed to live with them and work with them on rainy and bad days. And when the weather was good, I was heading further into the valley and photograph the volcano.
You have a very special relationship with Iceland, right?
I guess I do. Yeah, it's my second home. Yeah, it's a beautiful love-hate I have with this country, but
love-hate.
Yeah.
Why?
I love the country. And well, I have my problems with the people and politics in this country, but the country and the Icelanders as such are really nice. But the decisions that are done to kind of destroy the nature here, I'm really much against that.
Well, I think it's happening pretty much everywhere. So I don't see
That's
Iceland
true.
being special, in any good or bad way. But
That is true.
what do you mean, like specifically about decisions that are taken in Iceland by politics?
Well, in my opinion, Icelanders do not value their nature as much as many tourists do, which is completely normal because you don't value your home as much as other exotic places. It's a long story. There's other reasons for it as well, but for instance, there's huge plans still going on for industrial projects everywhere in Iceland. They want growth, economical growth, as every other country, as every other people want. And you can only reach that in Iceland by, destroying nature. And so they're building dams, they're building power stations, they're building a huge harbor for the Northeast Passage shipping that is going to be there in the future. They're planting trees everywhere, which I'm very much against, because those trees they're planting, most of them are non-Icelandic, and it's completely changing the view of Iceland. So far, those trees are small because it takes years for a forest to grow in such a cold country. But if you come back in 20 years, it will be like Norway. There's bloody trees everywhere, and you will not be able to see the beautiful landscape anymore. So if they would be planting Icelandic trees, birch trees that would fit into the landscape, I would be very happy about that. But those foreign trees, for the sake of forestry in Iceland, it's like really not my choice.
Okay. Yeah, I understand your point. I mean, this is a very complicated topic, so
it is. And it's, of course, a personal topic. I have my personal opinion. And if I would talk to an Icelander about, they would explain it very differently. So I am a very strong-willed person, and I have very strong opinions. I guess you might have realized that by now.
Yes.
But that is okay. That's the way I am, and I'm really happy to discuss with people. There's always a lot of discussion with me and other people about my opinions and other people's opinions. So you were asking me, I was giving you my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't look like Eyjafjallajökull, right?
No, this is Holuhraun. This is an eruption in 2014. A sudden, huge lava eruption, which was more like what I've thought an eruption to be before I saw Eyjafjallajökull. The ground opened and lava poured out, but the size of it was just mind-blowing. I mean, this crack there was producing a swimming pool full of lava every second, and over the course of 5 months, the lava field, I don't know how many square kilometers, like it was 10 kilometers wide and 4 kilometers 10 kilometers long, 4 kilometers wide. It was a huge area. So the size of that eruption cannot be seen in this picture. It was just mind-blowing.
This eruption was, like, where exactly was this eruption in Iceland?
It was pretty much north of Vatnajökull. So if Iceland is a clock, it was kind of that 2 o'clock in the middle.
So it was pretty far from
from anything, anywhere. There was no danger to anybody. It was in the middle of the highlands. It was just huge, and so they did not want people to go close. Kind of only in the first days people could get there. That's Eyjafjallajökull again.
Okay.
It took me 3 weeks. But after 3 weeks, I managed to get to the eruption officially, and I managed to see this, which to me is one of the most incredible sights I've ever seen. Because after Eyjafjallajökull, I said, okay, actually, Northern Lights were my most favorite natural phenomena. And then I've seen a volcanic eruption. I said, okay, volcanic eruption is even more amazing. So what could top a volcanic eruption? It's like Northern Lights on top of a volcanic eruption. And what did I get to see one night? northern lights over a volcanic eruption. It was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, this photo is pretty incredible.
Yeah. And look at the colors. I can make green northern lights if I think they were green. So sometimes they are actually properly green, but sometimes they were not. So
yeah, we were talking about colors of northern light. This color, it's exactly the color that I see when I see northern lights. This
with
is
strong northern lights. But weak northern lights are so weak that no eye should be able to see any color. So you have anything between kind of white gray to this color, but not stronger than this. This is kind of the most extreme green I've ever seen. If I should describe northern lights, then this is the maximum. This is the 100%.
Yeah, but my eyes probably they are already Instagram tuned or something.
I don't know. I really don't know if I see colors differently at night than other people. I don't know if you are already so influenced by all the pictures on the internet that you really believe that they are that green. Maybe we do have a different color perception. I do not know that. But to me, northern lights are never more green than this. And very few pictures of mine will show you northern lights that green. Most of them will be pastel green to nearly white, because that's what I see.
So you kind of, Kerstin, you try to reproduce exactly the northern light that you saw specifically on the specific photo, I mean.
Yes, I try to reproduce what I remember. So once again, it's due to interpretation. But I come back from a northern light night with the idea that were strong, colorful northern lights, or that were beautiful, like hardly any color, but lots of details. So I have that idea in my mind. And when I then open my images, I adjust it to that feeling that I have from the memory that I bring with me.
Okay, it's fair enough. And you said this is the first time that you got to this eruption officially. What do you mean officially?
Yeah. Well, now you have to know that ever since Fimmvörðuháls, the Iceland Rescue and Civil Protection tries to close off eruptions when they think that people can be in danger, which makes complete sense. And Hólahraun, this eruption that you see here with the Northern Lights, was so big, and there was so much gases involved, and so many people wanted to come, like thousands, tens of thousands of people, that they just said, no, we're going to keep it closed because the likelihood of people getting gas poisoning or getting themselves into trouble is too big. And so they completely closed it off. And I actually would have been happy if they would have said, no one is allowed to go. But that's not how it works. If you know someone who works as a scientist, or if you know someone who works somewhere, you could get in there. And so scientists are allowed to go in there, and media people with press pass are allowed to go in there. And I thought that was unfair. Why are some people allowed to go in there just because they know a scientist and they go with him? And so I tried to hike in there. I just packed my backpack, food for 3 weeks, and off I went.
3 weeks.
It was a heavy backpack. And of course, my tripod and camera and everything. But I already had in my mind that I will not succeed because it was autumn and this is a desert. The whole area is just a volcanic desert. In summer, you only have water because of the snow, which is there. But it was September, it was beginning of September. And so I thought, I'm going to give this a try. If I find water, I will go further on. If I don't find water, I have to return back. And I didn't find water on the end of the second day, and so I returned. Because it was a desert, and without water, of course, I couldn't have gone there. So yeah. It was good. It was good. I just wanted to go on a mountaintop to see it, because I don't have a car, I don't drive. So even getting in visibility was difficult for me. But I didn't even reach that mountain. So it's all right. In the end, I got there officially. But yeah.
That's nice. Kerstin, can you compare inside this eruption all around with the eruption that it's happening now in Iceland?
They are similar in the way that it is a fissure eruption. So it's kind of the ground cracks open and lava comes out. That's it. So there's no explosion involved. There's no huge danger. Like there's no pyroclastic flows, nothing really dangerous apart from gas. But this Holoran eruption was just so big, and the amount of gas emitted into the atmosphere was so much. You could see it on the sky. I mean, the skies were tobacco colored. The sun was red even at midday. It was absolutely crazy. The size was just mind-blowing. And when I arrived there, I couldn't believe it because I was standing there and the whole horizon was red, because what you see in this picture is inside the lava, invisible to me because I was standing on the ground, is a lava river, 10 kilometers in size. So from the crater, the lava was flowing 10 kilometers to the north. And at night, the whole area was glowing. Like, I felt like being on another planet. This was the most incredible view ever. So this is so much bigger than the eruption we have in Iceland right now. This is a proper volcanic eruption, and what we have in Iceland right now is a fart. Sorry to say that. It's really small compared to Holoran. And Holoran was, I mean, it was the biggest eruption in the last 200 years, but that was a small eruption compared to what Iceland could, in theory, do. Which is why I still say that what we have right now really is a volcanic fart, nothing more.
But it's a pretty one, right?
It's a very beautiful fart. It really looks nice. Yeah, life on Mars. Holoran just was so big. You couldn't get close, not that close. But it was, you didn't need to go close. I felt so small. I felt like a little ant. Like, what is a human inside of a volcano? We're nothing. We are absolutely nothing. We have no power. We're nothing. And that feeling, it's that feeling that I connect with volcanic eruptions. It's like it really teaches you your place. We humans, we always think we're so great and we're on the top of the food chain and we are so intelligent and we are doing this and that. But stand in front of a volcanic eruption, you realize how much power you actually have. Nothing. You're just so small.
Yeah, I absolutely had the same feeling in Iceland when I was at the volcanic eruption. And there's something, I don't know, like, I love this feeling. I don't know why, but when I'm close to such a strong nature phenomena and I feel myself completely overwhelmed, I like it for some reason. I don't know. It sounds strange, but...
No, it doesn't. Yes, I can't explain it either, but it's such a mixture of emotions. It is the beauty of something you've never seen before, the power that you see, and the powerlessness that you feel. It kind of puts everything into perspective. All your problems become nil, become nothing when you're standing there and you're just confronted with total power. I mean, a volcano could easily kill you. Just like that. A tornado can do the same. A tsunami can do the same. A snowstorm can do the same. And it's that feeling I connect with all those, with the power, the raw power of nature. And I'm completely addicted by it. Like I love those kinds of nature phenomena. I just love it.
Wow, this is also beautiful.
The land of fire and ice.
Yeah.
It was the same day. I had one day at Holoran. We went in with good weather, and then we got a snowstorm, and we went out in the morning in the winter, so to say. And we did not expect this to happen. I mean, I knew bad weather was coming, but I thought it was going to be rain. But instead, we had 5 to 10 centimeters of snow falling in a very short amount of time. And in the morning, you had lava flowing on snow, and oh my, nothing can prepare you for something like that. I mean, you don't even dream about it beforehand, and then you see it and you're just like, wow, nature is the most powerful, the most beautiful thing that exists.
Did you take all these all around photos in 2 days or?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also the one with the Northern Lights.
No, actually not that one. That was 2 weeks beforehand. That was outside the zone.
Okay.
So the Northern Lights were together with a friend. He had a car. I told him where to drive, and we went up the mountain together, and we were so lucky. But those last pictures you see of the closer picture of the eruption were taken within 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, probably if you are too close to the eruption, you cannot really see Northern Lights, or maybe.
That's correct. The glow of Holothurn was just so intense that you could not see the Northern Lights. I had Northern Lights while I was there, but they looked red. They looked just like a cloud because it was just too much red everywhere. It was too bright.
Kerstin,
Yep.
I kind of recognize this place.
Yeah. That is the newest eruption in Geltingadalur. So the one that has been going on for 28 days now. That is the volcanic fart we're talking about, the little one.
So you have to know that Kerstin is so crazy about volcanic eruptions that she went to Grindavik, that it's a town very close to the area where the volcanic eruption was supposed to happen. And you just waited there for how many days?
A week.
A week in Grindavik. And I was thinking about, well, Kerstin, you are pretty crazy. You know? I will just continue to be.
It was a gamble. And I was actually happy just to be there. And now you have to know that this eruption did not come out of the blue. There were earthquakes for 3 weeks that were shaking the Reykjanes Peninsula here in Iceland. And from the earthquakes, we got a really good idea where the magma was coming up. The question was just, when is it coming out? Will it happen tomorrow or will it happen in 200 years? Nobody knew that. But as I've never experienced anything like this before in Iceland, like 3 weeks of constant shaking, I went to Grindavik, which was closest to where the eruption could happen, and I waited for it. And I was happy about the earthquakes, and I photographed the aftermath of the earthquakes. They were quite visible, like cracks in houses, cracks in the road. And then it erupted. And then, of course, I spent every available day at the eruption. Those are some pictures that I've taken since.
Yeah, of course, like now we know that you were right, but of course, like exactly like you said, we knew that the volcanic eruption was about to happen, but you know, you never know exactly when. So, I mean, I was just thinking, okay, it might happen in 6 months or next year, you know. But then it looks like you have some sort of special sense for a volcanic eruption, Kerstin. You felt that this volcanic eruption was about to happen, right?
Well, I had my experiences in the past, let's say like this. I've tried to see volcanic eruptions for years, and I missed many of them. And so this time I thought, I'm not going to stick to my plans. I'm going to just go to Grindavik and wait for it in order to have the biggest chances of seeing the eruption. Because we did not know how long this eruption was going to last. It might have just lasted for a few hours. That was one possibility as well. Before we knew how deep the magma was coming from. It could just have been a little opening, some hours of magma, and that was it. And I just wanted to maximize my chances to see it. And so I went to Grindavik and had everything ready. I even contacted the police and the civil protection beforehand to find out how the rules are, what they were thinking of when you could go in. And in the end, it all paid off, and I got amazing footage from day one until now.
So this is what I'm seeing in this photo is pretty different from the landscape that I remember from this volcanic eruption. I left the area was 8 days ago or something, you know, and it changed so much. There was only one cone when I was there. I spent 2 weeks by the volcanic eruption, but then like as soon as I left, everything happened, you know. So
the one little eruption turned into 1 kilometer of several eruptions. It is the same volcano. You have to imagine it, the two continental plates are kind of drifting apart. There's a crack. The magma's coming up into the crack. And now there's not only one crater, but 8. So there's lava coming from 6 of them now.
Wow. And the area, it's much bigger now, right?
The area is much bigger now and not as good to access anymore. In the beginning, it was just one little eruption in the valley, so you could kind of walk around it and photograph it from all sides. But now the lava is on so many sites and so many places that you have less and less access, and you have to walk longer and longer to get from A to B. But nevertheless, it is amazing. It is a completely different eruption. If you would come here now, Vince, you wouldn't recognize it. Not even the old crater.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I will come back, Kerstin, you know. It's pretty soon, I would say. Yeah, this is the volcanic eruption that I remember.
Yeah, I think that was taken when you were still there, with the twin crater, the big one, and lava flowing in all directions. I never thought I would see something like that. These past 3 weeks have been mind-blowing. I came here with little expectations, and I don't know what to think anymore because I've experienced so much I never thought it would be possible. I never even thought it would exist what I saw. So I'm so happy. I'm so thankful.
Okay, so this little fart actually gave you some nice experiences, right?
Well, because it is so small. If it would be any bigger, it would be closed off and it would be much more dangerous. Because it's so small and it was so well contained in a valley. You have to imagine there's a volcanic eruption in a valley with mountains around. So you can just walk on the mountains. You can be low, you can be high. You have all kinds of different angles. And you're kind of always relatively safe if you just keep out of the volcanic gases. So never go into the cloud and then you'll be fine. Don't go too close to the lava and you'll be fine. And that's only because it's so small. Any big eruption anything can happen. It's really unpredictable. But this one little one is just beautifully producing lava and much less gas than the big eruptions. So it's really safe for a volcano. It can still kill you. And you have to use common sense. But for a volcano, it is actually very tame.
What is dangerous in this volcanic eruption? It's just the gases or?
Just the gases. Yes, so there's different kinds of gases that can hurt you and kill you, depending on what kind of gases they are and in which concentrations. Some of them you feel, like sulfur dioxide. You feel that burn in your lungs. Others, like burn in your nose. Yet others you cannot smell and you cannot feel and you just suffocate. So that is a danger if you go low, like in a depression filled with gases, and then suddenly you can't breathe anymore. So I, of course, have a gas mask with me, but I try not to go into depressions and I try not to go into the cloud. And then you're usually all right, especially if it's windy. When it's windy and you're on the wind side on the volcano, then you're fine. The other danger, of course, is the lava. Lava can fall on you if you're too close to the crater, which happened in the beginning. People were going extremely close to the eruption, closer than I found it wise. And there can be little explosions in the lava field. For instance, if the lava is going over snow or water, it can just have a gas explosion, and then the lava could hit you. And of course, the lava, if it's really steep and high, could fall on you. So there's different dangers. But if you just exercise common sense and keep a healthy distance, then this eruption so far has been all right. Of course, there's the normal dangers of the Icelandic weather. For instance, right now, it's really windy and has been rainy, and so you can get hypothermia and you can fall on slippery ground. That happened pretty much every single day. The mountain rescue is pretty busy rescuing people, not because of the volcano, but because they were on the way or from the way from the volcano, just because normal mountain accidents happening.
How long is the hike? The round trip, for how many hours you have to walk if you want to
One way to the eruption would be 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on where you go and how fast you go. So I would guess the whole thing with a stop there, anything from 5 to 8 hours.
So it's pretty long walk.
Relatively. As I say, one way, it's 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on where you go and how fast you go. But yeah, you want to spend some time there. So anything under 6 hours, I think, is not realistic. You can run in and run out, but most people don't do that.
So at the beginning of the eruption, at least during the first 2 weeks, but I think it was like mostly during the first week, there were, I mean, it was beautiful for me, like in my opinion. There were so many people resident in Iceland, like of course Icelanders, but also like foreigners resident in Iceland, going every day to the eruption. And it was, well, of course, for us photographers, that was not nice, because sometimes it was pretty
Too
impossible.
many people.
Yeah, but it was pretty impossible to take any photos, because especially in the night, because you had so many lights and everything, and well, drones. Well, that was pretty annoying, there were so many drones, helicopters, airplane, I didn't like that. But the people, it was so nice, for me at least, because I've been working as a guide in Iceland for a few years, and I spend a lot of time in the nature in Iceland, but not that much with Icelanders. I would say only if Icelanders were working with me.
Yeah.
But with this volcanic eruption, I had the opportunity to stay in the nature, surrounded by Icelanders, and I loved it.
That's a beautiful mood. Yeah.
It is, and like you remember what we were saying. Like everyone was happy, and there was such a beautiful mood. Like, of course, people were doing crazy or stupid things,
Yeah, I mean, this was to be expected. It was always clear that an eruption so close to the capital of Iceland, I mean, it's 50 minutes with a car, and you are at the car park from where you hike to the volcano. It is just at the capital. It was always clear that this would be the most tourist eruption ever. So I'm happy about every single picture that I managed without a headlight or people inside, because this is a people eruption. This really is the volcanic eruption of the Icelanders, and now of the tourists.
Yeah, this is exactly what I want to ask you. So after 10 days, that I left, so during the last 10 days, is still like the eruption of Icelanders, or do you see that people are coming from other countries to see this eruption? I saw
Definitely.
that during the second week. So the first week,
we are in the middle now of the changeovers. In the beginning, it was the eruption of the Icelanders, and we are becoming to the eruption of the tourists. And I guess we're here now, and very soon we'll be there. So now you have all kinds of people coming from all kinds of countries just to see the eruption. It's pretty crazy. They're just flying here for 3 to 5 days. They're hiking in whenever they want to. They're not really listening to the advisors. So even in the shitty weather yesterday, I saw 2 people actually went in there. It's crazy. We'll see how the Icelanders are going to manage this. We need more, better information, stricter rules for the tourists, so everybody knows how to behave. But yes, it's definitely, tourism has started, and it's getting bigger by the day.
So, Kerstin, let me understand. So the amount of people, it's pretty much the same, or is increasing? or it's
It's not
just
the same as when you were there. It was Easter holidays, and all the Icelanders were hurrying, or many Icelanders were hurrying to see it, because Icelanders are very keen to see volcanic eruptions. It's a completely normal thing that many Icelanders will try to get there. So that was to be expected. And on some days during Easter, we had 5,000 to 6,000 people every day coming to the eruption. Now we are down to 1,200 to 1,700 people every day. And most of them are still Icelanders, but you can see more and more tourists. You can see now guides leading tourist trips. You hear more and more foreign languages. In the beginning, you remember we heard some foreign languages, but it was mainly Icelandic, Polish, and then other languages. But now really it's Icelandic, English, and a mix of all European languages and Americans. And some Asians, but I'm not sure if Asians are coming in or if they live here, but you hear some Asian languages.
They might come from some other European country. I don't know. But anyway, at the beginning, I think it was just a 99.9%, only resident in Iceland. Then,
Yes,
of course, those people were, you are German, I'm Italian. So I was speaking, well, I don't speak Icelandic, of course. Yeah. So I was speaking like some other language. So, but still, I'm a resident in Iceland.
That has changed, and it's going to change even more. I can see it online. People are booking trips to Iceland. People are now thinking that the eruption will still go on even in autumn. I'm still not prepared to think that's such a long eruption. We'll see what it will do. But yeah, you can see that people are actually booking trips to see the volcano, and then we'll see how it's going to be. I'm afraid it might actually be a very busy summer in Iceland, which I'm not keen at. I was hoping for a nice and quiet summer with mainly Icelanders traveling here, but that volcano is drawing people here. So we might have a mass tourism year again here. Yeah.
So I see, Kerstin, that you don't like the idea of having a lot of people coming to Iceland.
I never like anything that has to do with masses. Everything that we people do, but that is in too big numbers, is bad. Doesn't matter if it's mass animal production or mass tourism. Everything that is too big, everything that is not sustainable is not good. And the tourism that has been in Iceland before the corona crisis was just not healthy for anyone, and especially not for the Icelandic nature. And so I was hoping that the corona crisis might kind of calm tourism down and give Icelanders and Iceland a chance to develop a good approach to tourism. But if it's going up to 1.5, 2 million again this year in this little country, not a nice thing. Mass tourism is never good.
Okay, so, I mean, of course, Kerstin, this is also a pretty complicated topic, because people might say, okay, so why you, Kerstin, or, someone, you might have the right to see the eruption and I cannot see this eruption, it's, should I not come to Iceland to see this eruption, or?
Well, I have a pretty clear answer on that if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
We're living in the time of the climate catastrophe. And most people will have children. And those children are really having a hard time in the future because we are not doing enough to stop the catastrophe that is already on us. And by flying to Iceland with an airplane, by producing a lot of CO2, then renting a car that is most likely not an electric car, and driving through Iceland just for fun to see a volcanic eruption, how is that going to do any good to your children and their future? So we need to treat the climate crisis as a climate crisis. And as fun as it is to travel, I know no one wants to hear that. I know the tourism industry doesn't want to hear that. But we cannot go on the way we have by just producing so much carbon just for fun. This is just not responsible.
It's not only the tourism industry, Kerstin. I mean, it's just people. I mean, we are not...
That is true, but the tourism industry is taking no responsibility when it comes to the climate crisis. The tourism industry is just looking through beautiful pink glasses Hey, have a good time. Go away from your problems at home. Have 3 weeks of holiday. Don't think of anything. Eat as much meat as you like. Go to the beach. That is mass tourism. And that is kind of like, I know that is what people want, but it is just not what the world needs when you look at the climate crisis. And if people would travel more responsible, if people would say, okay, I'm going to not travel for 3 years and then I have one long holiday to Iceland, that would be a step into the right direction. But volcanotourism, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fly to Iceland for 3 days. This is the opposite of what we need. And I know it's easy for me to say that. I'm here. It's unfair. Is it unfair? Most likely people who are not in Iceland will say yes. But I say I'm living Iceland part of the time. I try to go to Iceland with the container ferry. I try not to fly. I try to do as much as I can and still have a fun life. But I'm not flying anywhere just to see an eruption. I'm not going to Etna. I'm not going to Hawaii to see the eruption. That would never come to my mind. I am just so lucky that I live in Iceland and I've fallen in love with this country and I try anything to see the eruptions here. But I would never, never fly anywhere just for 3 days or 5 days to see an eruption, because I understand why people do it. But if I look at the future and the climate crisis and all the other negative things connected to it, it is just not responsible. It's not what we should do. So there is no clear answer. And I cannot say stay at home. But I can say that I think that ethically, it's just not the right thing to do. Even though people don't want to hear it. And I know people will probably, I got a shitstorm after this, but that's what I say and what I think.
Yeah, Kerstin, thank you for be just straight with your opinions.
I wish I had an answer. I wish I had the solution, but there just is no easy solution. We kind of need to do whatever we can do. And I've been trying to do my part as much as I can, and I'm still doing compromises because we live in a system that is completely wrong. We cannot do everything right. It is kind of not possible. But we need to merge this thinking into our normal life. And criticism of mass tourism, that's the one thing I can say. Like, individual tourism is a good thing. Slow travel is a good thing. Travel within Europe, if you're European, is a great thing. Try rather to use public transport rather than airplanes. You can do so many little things. And if you're completely fallen for the volcano and you need to see it, I mean, I can't stop those people anyway with my opinion, but I can word it, even though I don't have the answer. And I can and I will not stop people because I'm not the dictator of the world, luckily for humanity, I think.
Kerstin, but do you think that it's our responsibility, like responsibility of individuals to take those decisions, or like...
It's everybody's responsibility. So yes, absolutely. Because the individuals, we have the power in our hand to make elections, to choose politicians, and then the politicians can work from the top as well. So everybody needs to do their part. I really believe that individual action is really important, just as important as any other action. But if it doesn't start with the individual, where will it start? If I don't do it, who will? If I don't speak up, who will? And so, of course, it is the individual who needs to show initiative. We need to speak up. We need to be louder. I mean, now we're getting into general topics like the right-wing movement has become too loud on the internet, too loud everywhere. So the silent people in the middle need to speak up. That's the individual. Absolutely. The individual can do so much. He or she or whoever just need to start doing things and thinking about it and doing it. And it can start with tourism, it can start at home, it can be in politics, it can be at work, anywhere. But individual action is, in my opinion, where it all starts. And it's the most important thing.
Did you hear what's happening in France regarding air transportation?
No.
Okay, that's probably interesting to you. That might be an interesting news for you. So they are discussing a law. I mean, I don't know if it's already done, but it's on the way to be done. That by law will be forbidden to have transportation by air if it's possible to reach the place by train within 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I think it's the first time in the world that
Okay.
a country is actually, developing a law like this. So basically, if you can go from Paris to another city in France in 2.5 hours, within 2.5 hours by train, then it will be forbidden by law to have any connection by air between those two places.
Interesting. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but whatever emits carbon dioxide needs to be cut down. And air transport is one of many, many different things. I mean, we can talk about everything, the building sector and whatever, the banking. But when it comes to tourism, and that's where it all started. And also photography, because many nature photographies are travelers and they travel a lot around the world. I think people need to take more responsibility for their actions, because you're flying to another country to take photos that then bring more tourists to those countries. And you might even give a bad image, a perception, because you're taking a picture where you're not supposed to be standing, because you had been climbing over a fence that clearly said don't climb over it, but in order to get the good picture you're climbing over the fence. So it's kind of, there's so many consequences that the individual photographer, traveler, human is taking and getting, that needs to be thought about, and that you, me, everyone can do better. And so I'm learning, I'm developing, I'm trying to do better year by year for the climate, for nature. And I've kind of, I'm not a holy person. I'm not there. I'm not the best example yet. I don't think anyone can ever be, but I'm slowly, step by step, trying to get there, because I think nature is the most amazing thing ever. We have so many problems right now with climate change, and environmental problems, and diversity of species going down. There's so much that needs to be addressed. And I try to do my part, the little part that I can, as best as I can, while staying happy and sane. So, yeah, I have no answer for you how it can be for you, but I'm trying to find mine.
Thank you, Kerstin. I think we have been talking for 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, seriously?
Yes.
Sorry, it was so long. Were we supposed to see questions of people?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any question. I was just looking at the comments and I don't see any question. I just see interesting comments. So I don't know, like, if anyone has any question, I think it's time to write down the question. Because otherwise we are just going to finish in a few minutes, I guess.
That was kind of heavy topics there.
Yeah. Can you see the comments, Kerstin? Are you looking at the comments?
Yes. Which cameras do you use with which lenses? Honestly, I think it doesn't really matter. I'm using Nikon with 1 wide angle and 2 telezooms, but it could be any other company, any other brand. any other kind of camera, because I really think it's the photographer who makes the image. So the technical part behind it, to me, is not that important. I've seen amazing pictures even being taken by an iPhone. So sometimes I ask myself, why do I carry 15 kilo of camera equipment with me when people get such amazing pictures with their phones?
So there is another question from the same person, Claudia. Have you experienced such fantastic and extraordinary moment at the volcano? How much do you feel connected to it?
I have experienced just in the last 3 weeks so much. I haven't even processed it yet, because like every visit is kind of amazing again. I feel completely connected to nature, in general, to say that. To this volcano, I still have a huge respect, and I hope I will never be connected to it, because that would hurt. The lava is really hot. But no, when I'm out there, I'm completely at ease. I'm at peace. Nature is my church. I'm not a religious person at all, but standing in front of a volcanic eruption, seeing a volcanic eruption start in front of your eyes, that was kind of the most spiritual thing I've ever seen. Witnessing the start of creation, I felt so small, and I felt like I was on the wrong spot. I felt like I'm a tiny mortal. I'm maybe not allowed to see how a volcanic eruption starts. I mean, the earth opened up in front of my eyes. And then another fissure eruption started, and it happened twice while I was there. If I would believe in God, I guess I would believe in a volcano god right now, but I believe in nature, and I'm just so utterly thankful that I can experience this awe. I mean, I'm experiencing it now with a volcano, but I have the same awe when I'm out somewhere in nature, when I'm on a skiing trip, when I'm sitting in a forest in Germany and I see the autumn-colored leaves fall down, and like these wonderful moments, this feeling of peace, I have many times in nature. It's just that now it's a volcano that awes me, which is particularly special. Yeah.
All right. Well, Kerstin, thank you so much. And thank you to all the people that have been with us.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what are you going to do now? It's are you
It's
are you gonna
8:30.
It's half past
8 in
8.
Iceland. I am tempted to go to the eruption again, but the weather is pretty awful right now. Right now, actually, we have both sunshine and rain at the same time. The sun is going to set in about half an hour. I think I'm going to sleep and gather some more quiet hours for a trip tomorrow to the volcano. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. All right. Thank you, Kerstin. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much for the invitation and this new thing of a live chat on YouTube. Thanks for the people who came to listen to my blah blah. Very honored by that. And contact me anytime if you guys have questions. You'll find me on Facebook. Yeah. So,
yeah, like in the description of this video, there are like all the link to Facebook, Kerstin Facebook, her website, and so you can definitely, you will be able to find a way to contact Kerstin and continue with her the talk about all those topics. There are a lot of things to talk with you, Kerstin. It's always interesting for me. Like, well, I mean, me and Kerstin, we spend a lot of time together, and it's so nice to talk with you, and it's very inspiring also.
I'm always sorry about my very strong opinions, but then that's just me. And it's always good for discussions. So, yep.
All right. Okay, so bye-bye, Kerstin.
Bye. All the best.
Bye-bye.